Use the Financial Lifeline Exercise today. It is Supersize and Grow Your Business. Sharon, Horne-Ellstrom here. This is a lifeline. Every month this year, we will talk about the Lifeline Exercise, which is like a timeline we learned in history class or geography or different events that depict different events in time over a period of time in a graphic format so that they're easier to see and remember, right? Remember, our brains think in pictures. So when we can picture things, it's easier for us to remember. So that's why in school, especially grade school and middle school and high school, we learned things that had writing, but they also had graphics and pictures and things with them because we remember pictures better. So I like to create every year, or I have actually an ongoing one since, I don't even remember when it's from, it's so old, but it's on a big 3-part poster board like you'd use again in school to create a presentation, because I'm always adding to it and I'm always looking at it with respect to the different areas and aspects of the life framework. Since 2021, I've used a 9-part life framework. This month we're focusing on financial. So we're doing a financial look at our lifeline exercise today. If you haven't created one, all you do is you put a line on the timeline when you want to start. I start with the year I was born because in different areas and aspects of my life that had an impact when I was born. Not so much financially, right? Maybe for my parents, but not for me. But I like to start there for all the different areas and aspects of my life. So you put the year you're born, and then you put 2025 and beyond. You can see I've used this graphic for a while because I think I've got 2020 on it, 21, 22, 23, 24, and an arrow meaning 25 and beyond. I haven't even written 2025 on it yet because I don't really use this one. I use my big one. But the point is, we're going to look at, and for your business, I would say you could, when I started my business, or when I had the idea that I started my business, and then all the things leading up to it, and then when I actually launched it. And that in and of itself is a really cool exercise to look at, right? What things and how fast did I actually launch my business? Now, I have a podcast, and people will spend years before they'll launch their podcast. And I actually started mine in under a week because I think it was like a day and a half, because I did all the pre-work and all the things and I just did it. I didn't wait to figure everything out. I didn't wait to know how to do everything. And you'll notice it's still not awesome, but it's still a way to reach a lot of people and get the message out without having to worry about, and I do it my own way, right? I don't do it how everybody else does it. We take tools, and a podcast is a tool, and we create it and we use it and we apply it our own way. But that would be like an event. What was the impact financially that I would ask myself today for me and my businesses by having a podcast? What was the impact by starting and stopping different businesses? What was the financial impact of having a super duper duper bad, meaning financial theft and embezzlement, business partner? It was pretty devastating. What was the impact personally of my divorce on my financial assets and my financial situation? Again, super big hit, which is why I always tell people, find the right person in the first place, because divorce is very expensive. But what we're going to do is look at key milestones and events in our business life, and we should have a timeline for our business anyway, because we can use that tool to communicate, to bring more people into our business, to find financial backers and things. It's a really powerful tool that shows we're keeping track of and documenting and paying attention to the creation and the growth of our organization. So today, I challenge you to look at your business timeline, especially through the lens of financial health and well-being, and then share in the comments below one thing, one epiphany, one aha that you have about looking at that. I like this exercise because it shows me things that I don't necessarily see otherwise. As I look through it financially, I see a repetitive pattern of decisions that had a huge positive or negative impact on my finances, personally and professionally. So, for example, I can see on my timeline every time I did something big, like hired a coach or joined a mastermind or started a new product or service or started a new business or learned and grew in some way, shape, or form, it positively impacted my financial situation. Every time I was afraid or I made a mistake, it constricted and focused on that mistake. The longer I focused on it, the longer I stayed stuck. I can see by being self-aware, both personally and professionally in my business life and career, the impact that that's had on me financially. But I can see those patterns. So when I catch myself slipping into one of them, I will automatically stop it and make a different choice because I learned from that mistake previously. So I found that hindsight's 2020. Looking back on my timeline, I can see more clearly now with who I am and how my beliefs are and how I show up in the world, clearly that the mistakes were made and lessons were learned along the way. And then I needed to learn those lessons, as painful as some of them are. And as much as I wished I hadn't done, picked that business partner or married that person, there's always positives and negatives of every situation. And we filter through and get to decide what those are. The other thing I really, really recognize from this exercise is that our perception of events and the impact that they had changes over time. If I look back at certain events that I put on my timeline, I put them on there because I had a strong emotional reaction to them. Therefore, they made it on the list early. And that when we have strong emotions, we make either really good decisions or make really bad decisions. And they're super emotional at the time, and we think they're life and death. But over time, looking back on them, we realize that they're just a little blip in our overall timeline, in our overall business experience, in our overall life. So, love this exercise. I want you to learn to love it too. Make it your own. See what you can learn about your businesses and your propensity, your risk-taking, different things in businesses, mistakes that you make that you don't want to make again. If you do this exercise and look back and you see them, like I said, hindsight's 2020. You'll see those mistakes and you'll be like, oh my God, whatever made me think that this was a good idea? I do. I look back at my timeline sometimes and I'm like, what on earth made me think at the time that that was a good idea? And then I'll shift back and I'll think about, well, what was going on in other areas of my life? And we'll talk about that tomorrow, how all the different areas and aspects of our life are actually so interconnected. Sometimes it's hard to pull apart and untangle the connections. All right, any questions about this? Please ask. I've literally done this exercise thousands of times for myself and with other people. So if you need help, please ask. Otherwise, go out, make it an awesome day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.